Right, I'm just going to quickly show how to install these pistons, or how I do it anyway. I'll just flip this camera around. So this is the expander ring. You drop him in first, into the bottom, like so. These are the top and bottom oil ring. So drop one in there. Put him on the bottom. Like so. You can see that. And then the other one, so what you want to do, I always do it to the gudgeon pin. So one of the openings, we basically need to be 180 degrees from each other. So you line one up, the bottom one say, and then the top one, put the opening on the other side at the other end of the gudgeon pin. Just slip them over. You can be a bit fiddly with these. But once they're in, everything tends to sit quite nicely. Here you go. So you can see, opening here, spin it around 180, and that one's there. So the next ring, Mr. Fatty. So on the CPs, it says to look for a notch or an etched number. So on these ones you might not be able to pick it up, but yeah, there is an etched number just here. Don't know if you can make that out. So that needs to go facing upwards. That's really important, because if it's facing downwards you'll end up pushing the wrong way. So you'll end up sucking oil rather than pushing it back down. So the writing up. So what I do with these, so we have the gap at the gudgeon pin, top and bottom. What I'll tend to do with these is do them 90 degrees opposite. So this one facing upwards, that one will face downwards. These can be a bit tight to get on because they're quite thick. So I just tend to grab them here and here, open it up, pull it down, get it into the spot where it's going to go. Typically, of course, the one that I'm videoing is not going right. Get him in, snaps in. So again, he's up on the skirt here, and then the other one I'll have the opening in the opposite direction. So on the top ring, there is no mark on this one for the set of rings that I've got, and it does say the same to look for either a dot or an etched bit of text. If not though, and again I don't know if you'll make this out, on this top edge of the inner ring there's a bevel, and you want that facing upwards. So gap at the top, we'll put the gap at the bottom. When he pops. Top one's always the easiest, because it's closest to the top. So that's them done. We can reposition them in a second anyway. Next is the gudgeon pin, the ones that came with pistons. Get a bit of oil. I generally use a bit of leftover good quality engine oil that I've used for an oil change. Give that a good soak in. Drop it in, just check it's nice and free all the way through. can see there, that pushes all the way through nicely. Just pop it back out and get your rod. So I've already pre-loosened those. Bit of oil in there, doesn't have to be a lot. And we'll drop our rod in. Now the fun bit. The retaining clips for the gudgeon pin. Sometimes they pop in instantly, other times they're a pain in the ass, as my thumb can explain. One of them jumped out and decided to stick itself in. So there's a notch in the piston here. What you want to do is put this up against that notch, like so, and then you can work your way around with the screwdriver. See if this goes a bit smoother. So, flat-headed screwdriver, hold it in position, otherwise it'll ping off somewhere across the room. And just work your way around. Okay, so both in now. I'll whip the cap off. Let's give this a tap. There's a couple of dowels around where the bolts go, so give it a bit of a tap, it pops off just with a plastic mallet or whatever. I've already cleaned all of these inside and out. Just checking for any debris before you start putting things in. Same with the bearings. Just give them a quick scan over, make sure there's nothing on them. So the notch goes to the notch. It's fairly self-explanatory. Pop it in, like so. Bit of oil in there. And then I just put a bit of oil on the piston all over. So we'll just check our rings. This one down on the skirt, that one's up on that skirt, and then we've got a notch at the top at the gudgeon pin, notch at the bottom on the gudgeon pin. So that one's good to go. Okay, just quick check inside the ball. Just another little bit of oil in there. Squidge around, and that's where this thing comes in. So this is set to the size of the pistons. You basically drop the piston inside it, like so. Get it lined up. Make sure you've got the piston the right way around, so bigger cutouts for the inlet valves, smaller for the exhaust. So exhaust this side, inlet this side. Make sure your crank's out the way down below as well. So you put it through. The skirt here lines it up in the bore, like so. And then you just push it in. Super easy. Okay, so now we're just going to put the cap on these. There's some etched numbers which obviously have to match up with the correct side of the conrod. So just offer him up, and then we'll get one of the ARP bolts. use some of the moly lube that comes with it. Just get that on the threads. Don't have to be too much, but just enough to make sure it torques up correctly. Get the other one. So this is more difficult while filming. Squidge some on there. And we'll just get a spanner and nip it up. So it's worth, these are imperial fitment, so it's a 7/16, and I can't find my 7/16 12-point socket, so I'm just nipping them up with a spanner for now, and then I'll sort it out. I'll buy a new socket. And that is pretty much it. So if you've got all of your bearings and stuff sized correctly, I mean, I've just got a spanner on here, very little pressure, and should be able to turn the engine over when everything's torqued up. Shouldn't be tight, stiff, binding up anywhere. If it is, then either one of the journals is ovaled, the pistons aren't sized correctly, or something like that.